Today on View from the Summit, we're joined by MaiLy Pham Kopasty, Senior Vice President and Global General Manager of Fenty Beauty. She is a Paris-trained luxury executive who helps lead one of the world's most iconic beauty brands. With a background spanning luxury goods, cosmetics, and global retail strategy, she's been a key force behind Fenty's expansion on the world stage. We had an engaging conversation about her rise through cosmetics, how she chose her path, and what motivates her. I hope you all enjoy our conversation as much as I did. Where did your story start? How did you get into cosmetics?
Right now, my official title is Senior Vice President, Global General Manager of Fenty Beauty. So I really own the overall P&L, making sure the brand's growing, honoring our founder's vision. A piece of that is marketing, if that makes sense. Although it actually doesn't report to me. I'm really responsible for the product strategy and the financial aspect of it. But how did I get into it? I think you really inspired me, even just at the beginning telling me about your story, which, you know, I'm hearing you're 16, you're figuring out what you want to do, and you very openly said, I don't know yet. And it's more than 90%. I think it's just as important to know what you don't want to become, or what you don't like, than what you like. And I think for me, it was more like I had cups and like what fills my cup and what doesn't fill my cup, what empties and what fills it in. And I would say probably starting at that age, I would say noticing some of the things that just your heart just gravitates, or like what are the things you can just lose your brain, lose yourself and just, I don't want to use the word work. Yeah. But that you can dedicate. It's not full pleasure. The distinction between pleasure versus like something that still feels like effort, but that you're kind of like zoning, you don't even remember, right? It feels natural, and the effort just feels good. And so that's what I would say. It's like paying attention to what are those things that just like I can forever like do that. Like for instance, if you enjoy interviewing people, and if it didn't take too much effort for you to come and interview me or Mark, I would notice that. I would note that. Yeah. Because for some people, they would cut their wrist to do that. You know what I mean? That just would never, that probably means you like to listen to people. Yeah. You like to try. You like to not be in the office. Yeah. Or if you just like to be in front of your computer and you zone out. What led me to this? So from back, I'm going to go straight to when I was at your age. I definitely knew that I loved everything that was kind of artsy. So I was doing ballet and then I used ski. So it's something to notice because some people like to be part of a team.
That sense of group versus trying to go out on your own and just feel like you can do it better on your own.
Totally. And some people like to probably like a little bit more like you. They like a little bit of both. So just noticing that, some people, they just need, okay, there's a moment I like to be in a team. And I notice I love ballet. So I love like a sense of art. I love being with girls. I'm in an industry with this bunch of girls. And I love that because later you'll find out that, and I think you read my LinkedIn, I was an engineer. I didn't really enjoy being around men, lots of men. And, I like being with, I don't know, for me, it would have been all girls. Yeah. I like to do ballet. I remember, spent hours and not in a go out for people to notice or whatever. I just loved how an eyeliner would change the shape.
Piece, then a look at me statement.
Totally. And I would definitely, I think what I would say to someone, because I read of it, your questions when you're like, what would you say to someone who's 16? And I have my kids, so it's really that thing. Notice where you just like can lose yourself. Some people it's cooking, some people it's driving. But for me, I could put makeup on myself for hours, but it was different than someone else because I actually had to hide myself because I don't think that my mom or my dad really wanted me to wear makeup outside, which I understand. I was younger at that time, probably 12. So I knew I did this on Wednesday afternoon because frankly, I didn't care taking it off. But it was just the process of staring at myself, studying the features and all that. And I don't know why I did that. I just loved it, but connecting the dots later. Yeah. What else did I notice at 16? I love numbers. I love math. I liked it.
Yeah. It was something that never really felt laborious or like extra for you.
At some point, it got really, really hard a little bit later. I love magazines. So back in the day, we didn't have social media, but I could buy a magazine, a Vogue magazine, an Elle magazine, and just look at fashion and just design and all of that. I remember aesthetic was really something that I just know I could spend hours looking at a window and how it was like a window was set up. Or even today, I didn't change. If I see classic, I can stare at their face forever. Yeah. Like I can look at your face and I could look at your hair and looking at how it is and I'll just keep it to myself. But I know I look at people's features, the way they're dressed, the way someone decorates their home.
And it's something that you just do at this point, right? It's not something that it's like,
So when I was also younger, if we went camping with my girlfriends, I was always the one who would do someone's makeup. They're like, oh, MaiLy, can you put my makeup on? I think people were also asking me, now that I remember, to style them. They're like, oh, like, you know, you go camping, people bring a bunch of clothes and you go out and you're like, well, wear this and mix this. So style was always, you know, a thing, but I'm actually not answering your question. How did I get into fashion? That was definitely a bunch of, first of all, I did my duty, which was listening to my parents. And I think your parent, in general, I think parents, they mean well and they know a lot.
Yes.
So my dad really wanted me to do an engineering degree because it was either being math, being a lawyer, being a school, being, I don't know, what are those typical jobs, like a doctor, an engineer, lawyer. And I think I was decent at math. He's like, you'll do engineering. Yeah. So I had to do everything that my parents wanted me to do. And then, but while I was doing engineering, I kept ballet. And when I graduated from engineering, then was my time. I could pick whatever I want.
You finally got to leave the nest a little bit and kind of do what felt right for you.
Yeah.
Where did you go after that? I know you went to ISEC, the cosmetic school.
Yeah. So once I graduated from college, I think I told you what's important. Not necessarily the actual work, but I did an internship at Chevron. I did a bunch of engineering internship, and I never felt like I belonged. I felt like an outsider. I was the only girl, probably at the time, also probably one of the few people of color. I was in Texas, but people were nice. I always felt like everybody was like my grandpa or something, you know? And when I graduated, I kind of knew that more when I was 20, 21, 22.
Okay.
But maybe at your age, maybe I had a sense of it, but I didn't know I could make a career of it.
Yes. Yeah. And so, especially coming out of engineering school, you definitely had that sense of like, I don't know where I want to go, but I know engineering's not what I want to do. And these are the kind of things that feel natural and kind of flow to me. And I want to see if I can. So
at that point, I kind of graduated from college. I felt young. I guess it sounds very entitled to say that I wasn't ready to work. And I did business school. I just didn't know any better. I was just not number, but I just also, when I was young, I was like selling egg rolls when I was young. So I definitely, like when I made very stereotype, I love to play, how we say that in English, like having a flea market. I mean, I remember being 6 or 7 and pretending in my garage that I had tomatoes and carrots and whatever, and just selling and all of that. And I actually, when I was younger, I frozen egg rolls, pretending I was making them myself and selling them to people. I did make the fish sauce by myself. So I knew that I liked making money. And I think what I forget to tell you is my dad was a businessman. He sold power plants accessories, and he took me on his trips to Asia when I was a very young age. And I noticed that what I loved was he was so proud of his job. And he was a businessman. I could tell he was negotiating. I don't know what he was. When he arrived somewhere, people would roll the red carpet for him. He seemed to be like the boss. Yeah. We'd go to this office. He'd had an assistant. And already then I knew I wanted to be a boss. Yeah. Like I knew I wanted to have an assistant. I knew I wanted to have an office. I had that feeling. For me, it was business plus it's really natural to me. And I think probably by college, I actually met some people, lots of people, or my friends went to business school, like while I was nowadays. So kind of like noticing where you're drawn. And
seeing what kind of people kind of match what you want to see in yourself later on.
So then it's my dad again. A lot of it is my dad. He was like, all right, if you're going to go to business school, you're going to go to one of the best. So I applied to like the top 2 business schools in France. And I got so lucky. So sometimes you ask me how much of that is luck and how much of that is my work. I think it's both. I do believe you create your luck though. But I didn't get into the first one. I also did apply to a Master of Engineering. So I do believe sometimes you fail at things. And I don't think that's necessarily, it feels like a failure at the moment. But I do believe there's sort of things happen for a reason. So I didn't get into Columbia for a Master of Engineering. Thank God, because I probably would have gone because of the
prestige.
I did get into one of those Master of Engineering. I can't remember which one. But so I didn't get into Columbia. I didn't get into the best business school in France, which is HEC, the number 1. But I got to the second one, ISEC. James, I had no idea. But at ISEC, LVMH, which is the company I work for, Hennessy, they sponsor this school and they have a special program for students that want to work in the luxury industry. Yeah. I mean, the stars could have not more than aligned, and I did not do my research. I did not check if it was HEC or ISEC. I just applied to both. And I would have gone to the number 1 business school. I probably would also function there. At moment in your life, I feel like just like the lines I don't think because I have this engineering degree, which is actually, it's funny, I have lots of people where I work that have engineering degrees, but I think it did differentiate me because I have a brain. I'm not afraid of numbers. I'm not afraid of operational topics, problem solving, which some people in my industry may be less inclined to do. But yeah, I forgot your question now. Where are we going?
Just going through what you like it. Like, what are some of your favorite parts of that journey?
Oh, my journey?
Yeah.
Meeting
people.
It was really,
I bet that's actually super special in the cosmetic and luxury industry.
I think in any world, and I know you're a skier, I think finding those mentors.
Yeah.
Professor, I remember he still works there, by the way. Before applying to them, just, I know you're asked about advice, mentorship.
That's one of my core topics as well, like how to find good mentors and how to find mentors who you may not know what specific area you want to go into yet, but someone who just pushes you and makes sure that they have their best interests or your best interest in their heart.
That's what I learned in engineering because I wasn't really a good coder or whatever, but I think I got my degree through networking, like finding the group of students that knew how to do the work.
And the network is super important, especially the more and more you grow up. Like seeing, even with my parents now, like my dad will travel somewhere and he'll be like, oh, like we have a friend here. All this, like the network is one of the most important things the older you get.
Totally. And I would say like when it's authentic, it finds you too. So I went to that school, and at the end of the program, because I kind of became, that professor, kind of like, I'm pretty good at like, it's a good thing of like being sort of the favorite in the classes. And if the class interests me, if like I'm a 0 or 10, I think the teachers would either hate at me because I was like in the back, don't care. Or if I really cared, they would know. When it was time to recruit the next group of students, there's an interview process, and they asked me to be on that panel.
Really?
And on that panel, I was sitting next to the HR of Sephora. And in this interview, you actually interview them in French, but you also interview them in English to make sure they speak English. Well, students can be good at writing, but not really conversing. And so she found out that, I think you can tell I don't necessarily have a French accent when I speak English. She goes, okay, cool. A few months later, once I graduated, she called me and she goes, hey, we are Sephora is looking to import American brands to France, and they're looking for Native Americans because I found out later that they had before that tried to bring in American brands to France and it failed. And one of their diagnosis was that it was a culture clash. It was really hard for American brands to understand the French teams, etc. So this time they wanted an American team on the French ground, kind of like working with those American brands. Yeah. So that's pretty much how I got my first job. And I did apply to tons of jobs. I found it so discouraging. So don't be discouraged. And back in the day, it was letters.
Yeah.
I think I must have sent like 30 letters, 40 letters.
Really?
So many rejection letters. And I do believe in keep your North Star, Accenture, McKinsey, Carrefour, like Walmart, like all these companies that want these business school students, right? And my dad was like, you're crazy. You're like passing on this job. And I'm like, I didn't work this hard to do what I love, to then go back to Accenture, which I could have done probably with my engineering degree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I would recommend to 16 years old is like, it's easier to be good at what you do when you love what you do. And I know it sounds so cliche. And work is work. I mean, if I didn't have to work, I wouldn't. But if you love a certain aspect of it, you can tell people, look at you around you. People that are good at what they do, it's because kind of like a skier.
Yeah.
The extra skier is the one that has this extra love, right? Of whatever that is.
I think kids already find a version of that in school too. Like you ask kids, what's your favorite subject? And you see like their favorite subject tends to line up with their 100%. Best grade in school. And so it's kind of similar with choosing a career out of that. Like, like if I know I like math, my math grade is going to be higher. And I do the same amount of work. I have an hour of math homework, an hour of English homework, but that hour of math feels like it goes by quick.
Is it 3, 4, 5 things? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's all 3 of those actually, now that I think about that. The sense of working in a team, putting everything together, even just the outcome, you grind for 3 weeks and you go to a race and you're like, oh, I'm important to find as well. You want to find the stuff that's just like that you like, but that feels good when you accomplish it as well.
Cool. Yeah. So just put those in your patchwork. So where we're at, I said, so if I had the blanket, I had arts was one of them. Like I love, even when like we were playing games, I was always like, like when you play games, also when there's one who's a teacher and one is a student. So like I was always sort of a boss. Delegating, love delegating. So you put that in your patchwork, right? And you just, nothing has to make sense, right? Like you just know that this is kind of like that. And okay, so then I get to Sephora, but okay, at that time I wanted to, which I don't know if I told you, but for me, when I said I wanted to work in fashion, ready to wear, high-end jewelry, all of that. So when they said Sephora here is a little bit more high-end, but in France, it's higher end now, but back in the day, it was different. I totally go back to, it's a podcast, so you'll just figure out, you'll cut it back and forth. But I want to go back to your original question, how to find my passion. So when I was in business school, I read somewhere, I don't know, because I'm like you. I don't know if I had a formal interview like you, but I would ask people kind of like, hey, if you want to work in fashion, what do you need to do? And I always remember people saying, go meet the customer, go be on the floor, be a salesperson, go do that. And I was like, what? Sales? Do what? But it started connecting the dots for me.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. I had to do that. And I remember writing my resume, walking down Avenue Montaigne, walking down Rodeo Drive, knocking at every luxury skincare. They pay me $5 an hour.
Yeah.
And I went through every single store. They called me back. Not I think out of 30 stores, one called me back. One was Fred. Do you know that brand?
Not really.
It's a bit like Cartier or Tiffany or whatever. They're probably not. They're part of the LVMH group in Beverly Hills. And she's like, all right, yeah, I think at that time I had Essek in my resume, which definitely helped. And it's a French company. So I literally just knock at the door, kind of like what you're doing right now, just interviewing. And so I think you need to have grit. You just need to just not care, And that was how I got my interview, and not my interview, my first job in the luxury industry as an intern. And I loved it. I was an assistant in a high-end jewelry store, and that confirmed that I wanted to work in that environment. I was the assistant, so I was bringing coffee when people came in, and they were buying $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 jewelry. What I didn't tell you is when I got this job in Beverly Hills, Tommy then both up with my American boyfriend, and then later my boyfriend became one of the guy that worked at that jewelry store.
Really?
The guy before this one. They're very important ones. I think the boyfriend before who you marry is really important.
Yeah.
And so I learned that the customer is king or queen, 100%. And I also learned that you never shop with your own money. It's like people came in and they wanted $5,000 watches, 20, trying to be in their world. I think you lived in Dubai, right?
Yeah.
So you know so these people were the one that would spend their summer in Paris.
Just unlimited.
And I remember, and then I was also the person who would go with the driver to deliver jewelry. So if they bought it, but they didn't want to carry whatever $100,000, $10,000 piece of jewelry, I'd be the one. I don't know why they thought that a little girl, 18, 20 years old, was appropriate to carry that piece of jewelry. But I had a driver. There was probably even a gun and all of that. And I'd be the one passing it to going to the customer's room or tips. Being that young and getting an envelope with €100 bills was crazy. What else did I learn? I learned and they will also send me to photo shoots. So whenever sometimes for movies and stuff like that, you can borrow $1 million necklaces. And this is when you realize as well, I would pay attention to where you find joy, where most people don't. So for me, sitting in the back room of a movie, shooting with actors, just sitting there, watching what was around me, waiting for the piece of jewelry to come back, I could sit there forever, which someone would probably kill me now. Yeah. But when you start noticing those things, you're like, there's something in me. I don't know what it was. It was around being seeing people putting makeup and doing, it was a TV show. It was a TV show. Yeah. They were record, you know what I mean? Yeah. To start noticing, I like this world. And I love always hanging out with a serving team. So I always befriended the driver. I always befriended. So it's again, back to being in a team.
Yeah. Team aspect.
That team aspect of it. Okay. And then also when I was in business school, I was tutoring this really rich family in Paris, math. In France, they're so blinded by your diploma. So if you say Essex student tutoring math, they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was tutoring this husband who wanted to be a real estate agent in the US, this kind of SAT but for a real estate agent. And his wife was wearing Chanel head to toe.
Really?
Jewish family. And she was always so grand. And I actually asked her husband one day, or her director, is hey, I'd love to work at Chanel as an intern. It was my dream job. At the time, I wanted to be a store director of Chanel.
Yeah.
Dress Chanel head to toe. And back in the day, when you were a store director, you were a buyer. So you would go to the fashion show and you go, that had all your clients in your mind. That was really how they used to be or something like that. Yeah. Every movie's around your passion is the same thing. Notice the type of movie you like to watch. There's just oh, you're so typical, so girly. Everything you do is so mean, to this day, this one is so all about makeup, whatever, but I knew that I liked it in a different way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it strikes a different.
Yeah, I was just like paying attention a little bit more about like, how did Coco become famous? How did all these stories, how did Christian Dior, YSL, like what was it? I wasn't just watching the movie for the sake of watching the movie. But anyway, I got my internship there. And here's the funny story. So I get this Avenue Montaigne internship, which impossible to get. I'm sure now as a salesperson. And I think again, just be like bold, get 50 people say no to you and then one person will say yes. Then the store director, Madame Cathy Lelouch, I remember her really well. Her son went to the same business school as me.
Really?
So they thought I was a friend of his, the salespeople, because the salespeople were so mean to each other. Talk about mean girl. So I love being with women.
They cut through it.
But women are really mean with each other. Like everything you see in a movie is real. And I was one of those mean girls, I'm sure at some point in my career and probably to this day, although I'm trying not to anymore because it served nothing. But I know that there was other interns that were there and they're all like, because they were daughters of whatever, they were all crying because it was hard. I mean, you had to like pack a gift wrap without tape, without anything, certain rules, and you had to go so fast. Thank God I had my previous internship in high-end jewelry, and they really taught me how to like gift wrap, which by the way, because the pressure, you had this client there and they had to like hurry up and wrap. Exactly. So they thought that I was a friend of her son, and I did not deny it. It wasn't true. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And everybody was so nice to me.
Really?
Yeah, super nice to me. And I think in being nice, and they would just style just by like the fashion show. But as you go towards the season, you run out of a top. You run out of something, so you have to style women. I don't mean nothing, but like definitely not typical typical Chanel, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was nice to everybody because was I, and actually if a client was actually wanted to be served by me, I felt so lucky, right? Because usually you always have your shopper. You come in, you're like, hey, is James here? If you serve like, it's like, and you're always serving the same client, and they become your friend. Sold her, I'm not kidding you, 8 to 10 pieces. Really? So if a piece is about 3,000 to 5,000, it was a 50, 60,000 back in the day euro. Oh. It was so cool. And so what I learned again, and I use this day, I've learned my Chanel experience. I actually talked about it a year ago on stage in front of the company because I was supposed to talk about collaboration. And basically I was saying, like, I just shopped with her like she was my mom, and I was advising her. And I think she was relieved to just not see this salespeople can be stuffy. Yeah. If they don't feel like you have the money, they're going to judge you, that you're going to feel judged. Mm-hmm. And I think I was just so real, wanting to help her, having so much fun with her, asking her what she was going to do in Paris and what outfits. So I think by that time, to answer your question, by business school, I knew it was a bit of the recession too when I graduated. Yeah. Not a bit, it was.
That's such a tough limbo to be in too, being like, I really don't want to do that, but like, I don't know if you can make the other way work.
Stick with it. So then I got my Sephora job. But to circle back, once I got my job, Cartier didn't want the job because I would never thought I would want to work at Sephora because I wanted to work at Chanel, ready to wear, high-end jewelry. I go there and I fall in love with the retail. I mean, makeup is a bit like the grocery store. It's really fast paced. You're selling mascaras and lipstick for $20. So you get a lot of unit sales. It's really cool. Every Sunday you get your sales. So it's a bit like what you said with your race, where you get your results right away. If you do back in the day, if you put something on an end cap, and end cap is like, I don't know if you go into a grocery store and you put at the end, promotion to do extra sampling of a product or whatever it is, you see your sales go up on a Sunday, right? And I got addicted to that sales coming in and just hitting your sales number. It's the weird thing.
Yeah. And just knowing like, I made that change and I saw that result.
Totally. And if you were not even making that sales, having the conversation with that person, how come we didn't sell? And so this is when I noticed that beauty was for me. It's not so much the makeup, whatever, though I loved it, like I explained it to you, but not less than fashion and whatever. It's a bit like they say, like back in the day, like being in the New York street and it's like what finance is for men, and I'm putting tons of stereotype. Makeup can be that for women. It does a lot of money in the beauty industry, lots of numbers, and you got to think on your feet sometimes and make fast decisions. But all of that just lended that to me.
Yeah. So that worked out well then. You obviously found something that you were very passionate about. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you figured out that you were good at it as well. I mean, I'm sure through Sephora and through your internships, you got a lot better, but there was definitely a point where you're like, well, this comes to me pretty naturally, right? Yeah. So how did you move up, I guess is my next question.
So I get there and I'm a category manager, which I got really lucky. I felt like I did all my assistant job in France when you graduate, because you do business school, but you don't, usually between undergrad and graduate school, you're supposed to work, right? Take an MBA. So they make you do all these jobs. So there was my Chanel job and all these jobs. I did lower. At that point, I don't think beauty is for me. Those were really mean. Like they were really, if they felt like it, I don't know if they were in hindsight, but it's like they were always picking on work. I think some of the work was so dumb. So like every Monday, we had this sales. I was in the team that was selling foundation, which is like, what foundation. And I had to print, and mind you, at that point, we already had PowerPoints and everything. I had to print the numbers. For the numbers were coming to an Excel, I had to put them on a PowerPoint. I had to print them on a large piece of paper, take a spray, and put them on a board. Best thing ever. And I was like, I said, glue it right. There was always a bubble. And like the manager who I was working for, she was so annoyed where there was a bubble. There's some things I loved about it, but they were so mean that I'm like, this is what I learned actually. One thing you keep with you is like, actually, as much as I say I'm not nice, I am nice. Mm-hmm. It's that I don't want to be bitchy. I'm not going to be bitchy. It made me, but there were some things I really like. Mm-hmm. I love going to the studio where they were making comps. So if, let's say, this is launching, in 2 years, but it really doesn't exist yet, and you had to go into a shop stick. It doesn't exist yet. It's been drawn, but to sell it to the region, there was a studio where they would make a mock-up one, like, a 3D print. But like back in the day, there was a studio. I love hanging out with those guys doing that. And then you would take the mock-up and like shape it to a photo shoot or something like that. So there was aspects.
Fine. We can continue with L'Oreal too. Were you able to like distinguish in between the parts that you didn't like and the industry as a whole? Or did it kind of feel like, oh, like this is what the rest of the industry feels like and I'm not sure if I want to do it? Or did you know, like, I really like this industry, this small company or experience doesn't reflect how I feel and how I want to do?
I definitely knew I didn't want to work for L'Oreal. That definitely, and I now I would go again, I guess. But even now I still have PTSD when I have someone that send me their resume and they're like, I'm from L'Oreal. I'm like, oh, okay. But also I'm like, then you went to the army. Like, then that's really good. Like, I know that, they went through that. I think I knew that I didn't want to work with mean women. So I think that when I start interviewing with people, got me, it kind of like, I didn't take it for granted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I would have never picked stuff again. The people that I interviewed were very kind. And so I was like, maybe that's not that.
Yeah, maybe it's not the entire.
But she ended up apologizing to me like 5 years later.
The L'Oreal girls?
So her mom, which I didn't know, was the CEO of the brand By Terry. Do you know it? It's a makeup brand.
No.
And I was her buyer at Sephora.
Actually.
At that time, she didn't tell me. Then I was in Sephora, France. Then I transferred to the US. And because you're there, I kind of want to try to bring in the brand to the US. So I got her in with her foundation, one product. And then she took me out to lunch one day. So like we've known each other in Paris. We had worked for 2 years. Then I moved to the US. Then she moved to San Francisco, goes on a San Francisco trip, goes to lunch. And she goes, I have a confession to make to you. I was like, what? She goes, it's funny for me to remember name. Mm-hmm. Do you know her? I goes, yeah. In my head, I'm like, she was the bitch at L'Oreal. And then everybody would follow her. I was like, yeah. She goes, that's my daughter. I'm like, what? She goes, and she knew that I'm meeting with you. And she wanted to apologize to you. She knew she was very mean to you. I was like, whoa. So it all goes full circle. And I was like, how did she get your name? And I think one time her mom, like she had her mom's phone and I guess my name popped up on a text or something. She goes, Pham, that was my maiden name. And she goes, yeah, she's my buyer. And she's so amazing. And she's like helping me, import my brand to the US. So it all goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I guess what I learned, but later, is that if people are mean, often it's their own issue. Because later I found out her mom was like, she was not in a good state right now. At that time, she was like having personal issues and her mom was divorcing. And so so how did I get promoted?
Yeah. Up through Sephora.
So I worked in Paris. I loved it. I fell in love with all my American brands. I thought I was kicking ass. And I think I was. With I was doing makeup and my partner, there was 3 of us doing skincare. And there was another one. And my annual review comes. And I don't know, maybe I was arrogant. I don't know what it was, but I get a rating. And I could have sworn that I would have gone like an A, get 3, 4, or 5. 5 is well exceeding expectation, 4 is exceeds expectation, and 3 is meet expectation. And I mean, I was working all the time. We had a BlackBerry back in the day. I wasn't even counting I love what I did. Yeah. I was like going out to dinner with my brands. I mean, while I was having fun, regardless, I was working all the time. Mm-hmm. And I get my annual review and she gives me a 3. I'm like, meet expectations? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I can work harder than what I'm doing. But I was young. I probably deserve a 3. It's not because but you're giving me a 3. And I think I got really like a cold shower. I was realizing that I was in France. And in France, it's been, you have to be in this job for 3 years. And then you have to be like, but I was so hungry. I'm like, I'm not going to wait 3 years in this job. And then I was sitting in front of a woman who was above me. And she was doing a good job, but I was like, but I'm not too far from you. Like, yes, I'm less mature, all of that, but I'm not 3 years away from you.
Yeah.
Which 3 years at the time.
Yeah.
And so I kind of confided into my American brands because I was really sad. I think I cried. My grades really matters to me. Bonuses, all of that. It kind of defines me in a not healthy way. But so I was like, and also I didn't like working with French people. It's like French people, it's like they would never respond to email. And so my American friends / brands, they're like, my email, the inventory department, whatever, and they're not in. Okay, let me check with them. Then I would call them because back in the day, you would call people. Mm-hmm. Their voicemail was full. What? And so I was starting to be embarrassed by my own company.
Yeah.
Like I was embarrassed to be with French people.
Mm-hmm.
And the American brands were like, you move to the US, a lot of people are kind of like you. They work like you. They love what they do. A lot of French people also like
yeah,
they just like look at their clock.
2-hour breaks.
But a lot of them, I would say, also work really hard. So there was a mix of everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were the one that says you should move to the US. People are more like you. So again, I think it's like finding those mentors. And then I moved to the US, and the head of merchandising basically looked at me. I'm sure I looked really young, and she was like, "We're going to make you and promote you." So I mean, I guess I always did. Back to that Chanel thing. You remember how like I did this big sale?
Yeah. Putting
my shoe into. There's always a client, right? So if you're working with a brand, your brand is your customer. If you're working with a cross-functional partner, in the marketing department, the inventory department, always putting your shoes in the other person's shoe. Like I'm sitting in your more than the average.
Yeah. And you just understand it better because you don't waste a ton of energy trying to do everything. Exactly,
you just do what matters to them. Yeah. And I think just always like it was everything I did was more holistic. So if they wanted sell on a Monday, I actually wanted to know. So my brands, I knew the sales were available on Sunday. I was like, I actually want to know what those are. So then I would like just work on a Sunday. No one asked me to work on a Sunday, but if I'm going to look at the sales on a Sunday and they want it on Monday anyway, why don't I send it on Sunday? So all of a sudden they were like, oh my God, wait, there's this new assistant. Her name. Now we get ourselves on Sunday, which like the other assistants were like, fuck you. Like, we don't want to work on weekends. But like, I did it because I, like, again, it was like poker. It's like adrenaline. It's like, what are my sales this week, So you just always do more and then people notice you. And I think it's being curious, talking to people. So people always noticed me. And so then she promoted me to private label. And I was like, private label, remember I want to do fashion. So the Sephora private label. But that's a mark of my career. I've always find those mentors and I don't ask much questions. I mean, even like when people like move to the US, for you, it's because these people were like, blindly follow people. But if something that you like about that person, you trust them, I think when they give you an advice, it's well-rounded, well-founded. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then she's like, okay, you're going to go to private label. I was like, why did I do that? I wanted to do luxury. She goes, no, you're going to learn how to build a brand. And so I learned how to build a makeup brand there. I start doing product development because when you do private label, you have to like make the lipstick, make it everything. And it was great. When did I get then promoted? Asking also. I think you need to say, I remember whether it's money, whether it's you've got to enroll people and people can't guess. I don't think it's about saying like next year I want to be promoted, but it's about saying like, hey, I'd love to become this role. I'd love to have your job, even say, because I don't even think that means you're going to steal my job.
Yeah.
Will you tell me how do I get there? So it's always putting it out there. It's a little bit like skiing when you're like, I want to win this champion. It's like declaring it.
Yeah.
Enrolling people. I'm going to say be patient, but I never was patient.
Yeah.
But I think it's like really listening what you need to work on and then just put your heart and then reminding them, be like, hey, you asked me to work on this. I did it, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. And it's like any kids that do sports as well have already figured that out too. Like, especially in ski racing at Sugar Bowl with mentors and with our coaches, like I've gotten to the point where I trust my coaches so much that when they give me advice, I don't question the advice because I have confidence in them as a coach and I know they're not going to lead me wrong.
That's right.
And so all my energy just goes into how do I execute this problem.
I know I heard you yesterday telling, hey, just listen to the coach and then you'll be fine. So it's a little bit like that. Now, one thing, I don't know if you heard or noticed, but career growth is not a straight line. Twice in your partner, I think, in your career, in your life, I think having someone that admires you in a way, not admire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But appreciates what you do.
Extra work too.
Yeah. They appreciate your work. Having like a coach, a leader of yourself, I think it's important.
Not having someone in your ear saying, so like someone who can push you to be better, but then keep you from making mistakes.
So I think going back, how to do, the visualizing, same thing as in sport.
Yeah.
Same thing with your career, visualizing yourself. So it's like, I feel like I always visualize myself having my office was such a big deal. Having my office, and then enroll people, and then like your visualization start becoming.
And did you notice the more you visualize, the clearer that path became as well? If your end goal is kind of murky, it's tough to get there.
No, I think sometimes you have to be in the I think it's the things that were so clear to me that I wanted so badly. The day I got them, I was like, ugh. I remember the day I got my office, like so lonely. It felt like a white jail. I was like, I hate this. I want to be out there with the people. But now I like the quiet. So sometimes it's like careful what you wish for. But I think, just like a sport, it's kind of like I think having that goal, but like how to get there, I wouldn't be married to it. Just trust, if you put hard work, good values, and enrolling people.
I was noticing even through the parts of your story where you've gotten lucky, you got lucky, but then you pushed forward. There was like you met someone, but then you followed up, you asked for your internships, you did all of that. Like there's no point where you just sat back and waited for something to come to you. There was a door that opened, but you still had to run through it and you still had to push forward. And so I think it's important to not get complacent and think, oh, just because I got the call back, just because I got this opportunity, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think this one's one of my favorite questions that I like ask. You do it.
Yeah.
Would you do it the same way?
I'm going to say yes because, I have to say yes because I've learned everything along the way. I literally, like all the things even that I hated led to a learning or led to something, Yeah, I feel very grateful for the job that I have.
Yeah. Don't ever sit there and just think because you hate something, you should just wipe it away and move on. Kind of try and
just finish it, I would say. Yeah. But I think walking away from something is important too. A lot of people in Paris work, and if I would have followed the status quo, I would have applied for L'Oreal. I don't know if they would have taken me. I don't know what they would have written about me. Meaning my manager at the time. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do L'Oreal. Like that was just like, saying no to L'Oreal at that time, it's like saying, I don't know if you play FIS and there's like the other one, USSA, right? There's L'Oreal and LVMH. That's it. So it was like a big deal for me to say, it's just really, but there's different ways. You can still get to your goal, but you don't have to deal with people that like don't make you feel good mentally. I think and expecting a lot and toxic. It's like when you work out the good pain and the bad pain. Yeah. It's noticing what's bad for you and say no to that. There's just no reason to deal with it. I really don't think so. Yeah. Maybe for a little bit. Go for 3 months or 6 months, not right away, right? But it doesn't have to be for 5 years,
Yeah, you don't need to waste a chunk of your life on something that just makes it worse.
And I see a lot of people.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to the star and a point B that you really wanted to get to, but you were like, I don't like this aspect of it. I don't like the toxicity and all the extra baggage that comes with L'Oreal. And so I'm going to find a different way. Mm-hmm. And so by not having your path laid out for you, it kind of saved you from that, you think? When you hire people now, what skills do you think see it on a resume or when you interview
them? Love self-awareness, because when you're aware, I feel like it's more than half the battle. Yeah. When I look for a resume, gosh, you know what? I hardly read resumes. It's like I'm lucky enough anymore now that it's someone that screens a resume for me. But when I look for them, there's two ways. Either I look for the classic path. So if someone wants to work in beauty, have they work in beauty or whatnot? I like to see weird things like I have work at In-N-Out Burger. I think it's cool because it shows that customer service. I also look to see if the person has jumped ships too many times. I'm wary of people that change jobs all the time because I'm old school, but I'm like, do they just don't have grit and they give up too fast? I do think like learning comes after a while. When I interview them, they're curious. It's more potential that I look for. Curiosity, self-awareness. I do want to see a bit of grit, like a little bit of, energy.
And it's not worth anyone's time to try and motivate an employee to do their job.
I do appreciate people that I notice have done their research. I think that's very appreciative. But maybe there's something that I think we're in a world too where it's a 360 interview. It's really, I look for, are they going to be a fit for the company? I mean, you're going to work, I'm sure at the beginning, it's like whoever will hire me, I will take because it's, have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
But you do spend more than 8 hours at work. So it's about them liking you, but it's also about you. It's like joining a fraternity or a sorority. I mean, really, that's what it is, So I think it's beyond even just like, I love people when they tell me like, oh, I've met this person and I learned this and I learned that. So it's doing their research both from a hard skill point of view, but also from a cultural fit.
Yeah. Knowing, hey, this is the kind of company I want to work for. And I think you guys match that really well. And so I'd love to work here.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, what fills your cup?
Yeah. Do what you think works well for you, what comes naturally.
No, but for you, what fills your cup?
Oh, what fills my cup?
You think about all the things that you do.
I like gratification. I don't like banging my head against a wall for weeks on end and then not seeing an improvement. I really like that. Even like if we time one day skiing from run to run to run, I can see if I get better or worse and I can change stuff and see it right away. I think that works into my mind as well because I have ADHD and when I train, I don't take my meds. So my mind runs.
Say that again?
When I train, I don't take my medicine.
Because?
I find that it helps my mind to run faster when I train. There's more going on. I'm going super quick down an icy hill and I just find that extra processing speed is helpful. And my meds, they slow down my mind a little bit, but they help me focus for hours on end. But racing, I need 30, 50-second bursts of focus through a 3-hour period. So I find that rapid burst of focus and then the like gratification of like, I did something wrong or I did something right. That works really well for me. And then like math, I like numbers. Math always seems to flow well for me. I like economics.
Oh, that's cool. Do you like to read, what part of economics do you like?
I like the trends. I like trying to predict trends and looking at numbers too. I mean, like in economics too, you can look at numbers and never have to do math or not never, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you can look at projections and stuff and you can either take it philosophically and just try and look at what consumers want and look at where markets are going, what different countries are doing even. I'm looking at the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. But you have a lot going on for you. So do you know, because it's one thing at a time. It's not like I think when I was 16, I knew I wanted to do that. But like I knew even though I had to do engineering that eventually I would do business and I would do fashion. Like then for you, do you have a major you have in mind for school?
I'm considering economics or international relations. I think for me, international relations is interesting because...
You can major and minor too.
Oh yeah. I might do a minor in economics, but international relations has economics rolled into it.
Right. Well, yeah. Okay. Something like that. That's cool. And you have business schools too. Classic. Was that some minors? So I think you know enough.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in a very fortunate position where tons of people around me have done tons of other stuff to the point where I've gotten to learn about most of it. And so I think that's the goal, is to share that with other people. I think it's always cool to talk to well-informed people, and you're very well-informed on beauty and cosmetics. I think it was very interesting listening to you talk about your career.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I'd love to hear your other podcasts.
I'll send you over Mark's. Yeah. Thank you, Mai-Ly.
Yeah, anytime. It was fun.
Yeah, no, this was awesome.